the first thing that needs to be done is these are my tomatoes, and as you can see, I have a trellis up in here now, and they very badly need to get trimmed. They're kind of a little bit of a jungle right now, and they don't need to be. And then on this side, I have more tomatoes. These 3 beds are all tomatoes, and I need to come up with some kind of a trellis system for them because all of them are also indeterminate tomatoes, so they potentially can get pretty large. And then I still really need to do all of my irrigation for my beds, and actually for the hoop house as well. So I have everything, but this line, so that's a 1/2 inch main line, and it is connected to that faucet down there. And I have then also all of the fittings hooked up to the beds here and the line that will go back to this line here. But I need to put in all of the T's to connect this to that. And then I also still need to figure out exactly what I'm using for the irrigation. I did drip last year and it just didn't work all that well. I ended up still having to hand water every day. So I've got some sprinklers that I can try. And then I do still have all of the drips, so I might do some kind of a combination of the two. So those are the things that I'm working on, need to work on today. Miss Zara here thinks it is time for her dinner. It is not. You're going to have to wait a little longer. Let's get started with the tomatoes, I think, and get those done. So I'm going to start down here with my grape tomatoes. So basically all I'm doing is cutting off anything that's kind of close to the ground. And I actually am not one of those ones who tends to take off all of the suckers, which this one actually doesn't seem to have any suckers on it yet. Oh, no. Yeah. So this is an example of a sucker where basically in the crook of a leaf and the main stem, another main stem is coming out. A lot of people will trim all of those off. I will probably eventually, but it does produce flowers and tomatoes, so I tend to kind of leave them unless it's getting really out of control, and then I will trim them off. This guy's still pretty little. Yeah, that guy. And you can actually take this, and I could just cut this off right here and stick this in the ground, and it potentially could grow a whole other tomato plant. But I don't really have time for it to do that, so I'm not sure that I'm going to. But it is a way to get kind of already well-started tomatoes if you have a longer growing season than I do. And the reason I'm doing this is just to give these guys a little bit more breathing room and a little more airflow. So, and like, this, well, let's see. Yeah, this guy right here, we don't need this big, huge leaf. So we're just going to take that out. But look at all the flowers. It's a good thing I'm doing this. There are actually tomatoes down here. Little baby tomatoes that I never would have seen if I did not do this. And it's gonna rain. We haven't had rain in a very long time. So this is amazing. And what luck that I'm inside. All right, I have all of these guys done. I do want to do those over there as well, although they aren't nearly as large. These were planted in the ground weeks before those ones were, so they are not as far along. But it's better to trim them now and not do it when they're a jungle like these were. These guys definitely look so much better now. Got lots of nice airflow under there, which is great. I think I am going to wait on trellising until I can come up with like a good system. I was going to kind of jury rig something, but I think most of them are still okay. So these are all just the scraps from this. So I probably have a week before some of these really will need trellising, but they are also looking a little bit better in terms of not being quite so jungle-like on their undersides. So it's kind of raining on and off, but it's quite warm right now. So I think I'm going to go ahead and do my bush tomatoes, my Ace 55 tomatoes that are over there, and get those all cleaned up as well. So these guys, I don't want to cut off too much of them because since they are determinate tomatoes, I want any suckers that they put out will put on fruit, and that's the only fruit that they're going to put on. They won't keep growing tall and grow fruit that way. So I do want to be careful just to kind of give them a little more airflow and just cut off leaf sections, not any sucker sections. All right, I am going to get this, my most hated project done, which is why it is not done yet, because I really hate doing irrigation. It's very tedious work, but it needs to get done. So and the thing that I did to hopefully make my life a little bit easier is I've been trying to use these guys to connect my stuff. And I think I've only done one of the tees. Mostly I was doing elbows, and I don't know what it is. I mean, these are supposed to be for 1/2-inch tubing, and I have 1/2-inch tubing, but they are impossible to get on to the things. So it was actually at Walmart of all places, and they have all their stuff, their like summer stuff on sale right now. So I got these guys, which are called drip locks, and they supposedly are going to be a little easier. They have little teeth in there, and the thing about them is that they're easier to take off. My hands are black from the tomatoes. Easier to take off when you want to disconnect them. So I'm hoping that they will also be easier to put on. All right, I think I have everything. Let's go do some drip. I have 2 zones potential here with a timer and a filter and the pressure regulator, and then the thing that allows you to connect a hose fitting to the irrigation fitting. So that's all on here. And so this one is the one that is connected all the way along the fence line, all the way to the end. And then what I'm doing is connecting This is where the tees are going to be here, and it comes to here, and then it comes up and over the side of the bed. Some of my beds have holes like right here that we drilled last year. I'm being lazy and I'm not going to do that for the beds that are new. And I'm just putting it over the side. So we need to do all of the tees now. All of the up to the bed stuff is all done. So that was actually the hard part. All right, so first I'm actually going to get this pounded in here so that it stays. And then all we're going to do is get the things that we actually need first. So one of these guys, these are great for cutting this stuff. So we're just going to cut it right where we need it in as straight a line as we can. Take our little drip lock guy. Oh, so much easier. Oh my gosh. Oh, amazing. That in there like that. And pound another stake in. Oh, so much better. And then I also do put a stake kind of in the middle of the walkway, just so it's not sticking up like this at all. Even with covering it with the mulch, they definitely move around quite a bit as soon as the water is going through them. All right, on to the next one. All right, all of the last beds are hooked up. I still need to cut hose to get to the 3 beds in the hoop house, but I'm definitely going to need some elbows. So, Zara, I'm going to run back to Walmart probably tomorrow and pick some of those up. And I need to go back and actually test all of these, because I found one of them as I was putting it in. I actually pulled on it. It just popped right off. So I want to make sure that all of them are actually going to work. So I think for today, I'm going to leave this side as is, but I'm going to go back over to the other side and we're going to actually set up the drip in the beds. So, well, I'll explain it to you when we get over there. Okay, so I have got a whole bunch of these guys, which I thought were $360, but they are only $180. They are adjustable, and I did put some of them on the 3 beds down at the very end. Actually, I put them on all 6 of these beds, didn't I? I did. Do 2 more lines for 1, 2, 3, 4, 3 of the beds, so that there can be 4 180 sprinklers on those beds. And then 3 of the beds I'm going to do with these guys, which are 360, also are adjustable. So I can only do 2 beds. So I will do 2 of the beds with these, and then we will see how it works. Okay, so like I said, I already have 2 of these in each of these beds. The other problem with them, however, is that to change the pressure and how much water is coming out of them, you have to turn it, but then it turns the flow as well, which isn't really all that helpful, quite honestly. All right, but I do actually have a drip tube in here too, because so all of these ender pipes that are, this one's kind of buried beneath plants, but these guys here are from last year's garden. So they're all kind of odd lengths, and some of them already had like things in them. So I had to put something so that water wasn't just shooting out of a hole. Anyway, so I was thinking I'll just leave this drip on and put one of these guys. I'll cut off this ender here and then put one of these on. And this is a little hole punch, so I can get a hole in my header tube here. Okay, and a sprinkler. And this one can go here-ish. The only other issue with these guys is that every time you adjust the pressure on one, it changes the flow on all of the others. So they're kind of a pain to adjust. So honestly, I don't know that this is a great idea at all, but let's just keep going because this is what we have. So I'm just going to do that for these 2 beds as well. We're going to turn this on, see what happens. I know that I plugged all of the holes that were on this zone. So this zone also goes to all of my bags, which I still also need to put lines into each of them, but I'm not going to do that right now. We're going to test these beds first and see what happens. I think I have them going well enough. And I think my question is, I wonder if I let it go how it is, if it covers enough of the bed that, like, I don't know what it's called when water seeks out dry spots and goes there as soon as the place that it has gotten is drenched. I don't think that made any sense. Anyway, let me show you what it looks like. We've got the one sprinkler here that's kind of pointing this direction, getting this corner of the bed. We have the one over there that's kind of coming out this way. This one is not doing anything at all. Let's put you somewhere else. All right, that's better. Okay, so that one is kind of going in that direction, and this one is kind of coming this direction. And then this is drip, so it is also watering all the way along here, which happens to be the carrot bed, which I just planted more seeds in, so that's good. So yeah, that's this bed. And then this one, we've got this one here, and it is kind of also spraying off the bed, but I kind of have to do that to get it to get more over to that side. And then we've got the one there coming this direction. The drip line is here along the peas, who will appreciate that. And then we've got one there pointing in that direction and one here pointing in this direction. So this is the one that, like, it's not really, there's not really anything getting all the way over to the zucchini, but I'm hoping that it gets close enough here that, like I said, it will kind of just seep over there. So I'm going to leave this on for, let's see, it'll have been almost 30 minutes it'll have been on when it shuts off again. So we should have a fairly good idea. And I do, unfortunately, have dripper tabs here that are going because this is on that thing. So I need to pull all of these off and then put lines up to each of these bags, and probably with these little drippers, because I think they're like 5 gallons an hour or something like that. So that should be plenty for these. And then the other thing that actually all of these beds and all of these bags, they get all of the overspray from our lawn sprinkler system. And so every other day they're getting pretty heavily watered. So I really don't even need to water the bags, but I'm going to go ahead and put it in there. The beds definitely need to have extra water, more than they get from the sprinklers. So I might as well have the bags done as well. Okay, do I want to try the other 3 beds? It is getting kind of dark, so I think probably not. So I'm just going to hand water everything for tonight, get the eggs, and head in. I have all of the beds done on this side here, closest to the horses, and kind of terrified to do it, but I'm gonna turn it on and test it and see what happens. So wish me luck. I still need to adjust this one a little bit, but they actually do cover the whole bed pretty well, except for like right on the side that they are on. Try to find more of these guys for the remaining beds over there. For the rest of these beds, I just put drip lines. So actually I do want to get the sprinklers for these as well. But for now, we'll just use drip lines, and I'll probably have to still do some watering for those beds. I put 4 in each of the beds. Last year I only had 3. So maybe with 4 it will be okay. But I'm gonna have this running for, I think I put it on for 20 minutes. And then I'll check and see how the soil is. Oh my gosh, you guys, this project, like everything in this garden project, the irrigation has taken me 3 days of like 4 hours each day working on it to get it finished, which is just ridiculous. But I was using a lot of last year's irrigation tubing, and it was all used in different places. So like some of them had holes from other things that I had plugged into them, but had pulled them out, and I didn't know there was a hole there. So I'd turn on the system and there'd be all these leaks, and I'd have to go fix those. So there's kind of a lot of running back and forth with that. And then the whole thing is a very big mishmash of types of irrigation. I've got drip, I have sprinklers, I have various kinds of sprinklers. And part of that was just because I am doing this so late. So like the stores didn't have things in stock. In retrospect, I should have just gone to dripdepot.com, which is where I got all of my original stuff last year, ordered it all from them. I had it all be the same, but I wasn't really sure what I wanted to do anyway. So I think it's good to have seen all of these different things and how they work. So let me walk you through what they are. And then finally, I will get to I think I have 3 other projects that I wanted to get to. So, but those should be quick. Okay, so in these 3 beds here, I just have 2 sprinklers, and these are 360, so they spray all the way around. So it covers most of the bed pretty well. I did, because this, again, this tube I used last year had 3 holes in it. I did put 1 drip line just going here. So it kind of will get that corner, which is nice. Although that poor marigold, I don't know what happened to it. So these 3 beds are all the same. And then pick up some garbage. For my bags, I just did a simple dripper. I believe that these are 2 gallon per hour drippers. So it should be enough, because I run it for about 30 minutes. So it should be enough water in each of these bags to be fine, to not have extra. So that's all. I think I have 26 bags or something like that. That's all of those. Then in these 3 beds, I have a whole bunch of half. So it does just this side sprays out. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4 in each of these beds. Plus I have a drip line, at least 1 drip line going along the edge. I think I have 2 in the last bed, but because I had 4 holes, so I figured I might as well water it well. But that is these 3 beds. These are definitely the messiest and kind of most difficult to manage, because every time you adjust the pressure on one of them, I think I already mentioned this, but it adjusts the pressure on all of them. So these I think I definitely will replace next year. For this keyhole bed, I have 2 90-degree sprinklers right here. And then they are spraying this direction, and they get to about right there. So they're watering my 2 tomatoes that are in pots there, and all of this. So then I put a drip line to catch the back of the bed and just kind of along the sides here. And then for those 2, I have just a non-drip line hose going along here, and then a drip lines there, non-drip line up and under, and then a drip line catching all of those. So that's how we did those guys. Let's go to the greenhouse. So these 2 pots I still need to run something to. In here, I just did drip lines for 2 drip lines on either side for these beds on the sides. Both of them have that. And then these, I totally jerry-rigged this, but it works. So I think I might still have to do some watering in the corners, but I'll see. I'm gonna let it run for a couple of days, but this is an upside down sprinkler. Normally it's in a stake in the ground, but that wasn't working. But because I've got this trellis here, I could hang them, and this does 360. And it, like I said, it covers a big chunk of the bed, and I think hopefully it's enough that the other corners will just seep into it. But that is how these 3 middle beds are being watered. Things are looking beautiful in here too. Ooh, and let me show you. I've got the longest cayenne on the tiniest plant, but look at that thing. Oh my goodness. And all of these are ones that I planted from seed, and they're looking really, really good, which I'm thrilled about. These are the ones that I got from Lowe's or Home Depot, I can't remember what, but there are a whole bunch of jalapenos in here. Look at all those beautifuls and lots of flowers. So that's fun. And then I feel like I should have some tomatoes on these by now. I think I did when we trimmed them, we saw some. Yeah, oh, there we go. Right there. So these are my grape and cherry tomatoes. So those will be the first ones I get stuff from. And these guys are looking pretty lush and healthy. I'm not sure why. I feel like it's just this kind of, whatever this tomato is, I can't remember. And it just kind of has feathery leaves like this, because a bunch of them do. And yeah, I don't know. But most of them are looking really good. So, and the guys over there are looking really good as well. And those were planted much later than these were. And gosh, you guys, look at this guy. He's just huge. He's huge. Been doing so well. Look at that. Ah. And I should have, yeah, my first striped zucchini here pretty soon. I picked 2 more of my yellow ones. Okay, but let's get back to what we were doing. So these, let's see, 1, 2, 3. Yes, these 3 beds here, sorry, let me show you. These first 3 beds are all on drip alone. So last year I only did 3 drip lines. So this year I'm doing 4, and that actually seems to be doing well. I also don't have nearly as much stuff on one zone. So it's actually getting to the ends of the zones, which I think that was a big part of my problem last year too. But yeah, here's look at my yellow zucchinis going crazy. Crazy. So that's it, these 3 beds. These are the 2 or 4 pots I still need to run to, and my chive pot. And then this is the other keyhole bed that doesn't have anything yet. And then these 2 beds, this is actually probably my favorite way to do this. These 2 beds have 2 sprinklers, one there, kind of hard to see. And they are 180 degree sprinklers. And having them placed where they are, so they're right in front of the tomatillos, they cover this bed really nicely. And then all I had to do was run 1 drip line behind the tomatillos to catch the stuff on behind the sprinklers and in those 2 corners. Otherwise, it's working really, really well. So this bed is the same. I've got the 2 sprinklers facing that direction and a drip line here. So this should be on the other side here. That can stay. And then of course under for my, oh, and this guy is just going absolutely nuts too. And I have little pumpkins. Where are you? Look at little pumpkin. Little pumpkin. And there's one up here. Oh, this one looks like it didn't actually get fertilized. Yeah, it's pretty soft. I'm pretty sure this one did though, because it's actually growing significantly. So total segue, but if you don't know what I'm talking about, the squash plants need a male and a female flower. And the only way that a female flower, which has the actual pumpkin on it, or squash, will actually become a pumpkin is if it gets pollinated from a male flower. I actually don't have a lot of pollinators in my garden this year. I'm not really sure why. I had a ton of them last year. So I'm definitely going to have to hand pollinate all of my pumpkins. And at some point I'll show you how I do that. But it's basically I take a male flower, rip all the petals off, stick it into the female flower, and kind of wiggle it around to get the pollen in the female flower. So, and that usually works pretty well. All right, and then last but not least are my cabbage beds, and I just did 4 lines of drip in here as well because sprinklers would have been very difficult in this bed. So it seems to be working great. And that right there is our next project, that box that says green stock.